Okay, before we start looking at how to convert between improper fractions and mixed numerals, just thought we'd look at what the two are, just a quick revision so that's clear. So let's start off with the improper fractions. Okay, so an improper fraction is a fraction that has the larger number on top than number on the bottom. So again, a larger numerator than denominator. So here we've got 11 over 2, again, more commonly written perhaps like that. Okay, so what does it actually mean? Okay, well, we need to think back to our big ideas about fractions to understand this. Now, when I've got a 2 as my denominator, that means I'm talking about halves. Okay? And the top here, the numerator, that tells me how many parts I have. Okay? So what it's really telling me is I have 11 halves. Okay? It's as simple as that. So it really doesn't change the understanding of fractions. So I have 11 halves. So showing that using a diagram, well, we can do that. We know how to colour in a half. Okay, there's 1 half, 2 halves, 3, 4, 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 halves, 8 halves, 9 halves, 10 halves, 11 halves. Okay, so yeah, that's 11 halves there. In terms of real-world story that uses improper fractions, yeah, we can talk, commonly, we can have 11 half games. Okay, a football player might do 11 half games in a season. Okay, he might be a player who plays off the bench. Okay, I could say as a worker, I could say, look, yeah, I worked 11 half days last month. Okay, so they're not that commonly used, but anyway, they do exist. And the key thing, I guess, to looking at this is knowing that what it actually represents. Okay, so here I've got 1 half, 2 half, or 2 halves. Okay, and that makes up 1 whole. Okay, that's another 1 whole. Okay, 2 halves is 1 whole. Okay, so keep going with that. That's another whole, and another whole. And of course that's whole as in W-H-O-L-E, the entirety of something. And then I've got here a half. Okay, so this 11 over 2, or 11 halves, really means 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, 4 wholes, 5 wholes, and 1 half. Okay, so that's 5 and 1 half. And this, of course, is our mixed numeral. So let's have a look more at the mixed numeral now. Okay, so a mixed numeral is a number that has basically a whole number part and a fraction part. Okay, nothing more than that. Okay, what does it mean? Well, okay, a whole number, we know what whole numbers are. Okay, that's 1 whole. Okay, and then we've got a fraction part that tells us we have a bit more. We don't have the next whole number, but we have more than the one we're looking at. So it's 1 and, in this case, 1 half. Okay, so 1 and a half. Okay, on a diagram, again, well, we can colour in 1 of something. Okay, that's the whole. We'll colour the whole in. Done. And we'll colour in 1 half. Okay, so there we can see there's 1 and a half. Okay, so that's our mixed numeral, 1 whole and 1 half. Okay, so it's not. So we've got 1. We don't have 2. We have somewhere between 1 and 2. We have 1 and a half. Real world stories. Again, cooking is the go-to one here, guys. When we think about 1.5, you add 1.5 cups of sugar, 1.5 teaspoons. But it can be, look, it can be used a lot. Okay, I won't go on with that one. You guys, I'm sure, can hear that. Okay, now in terms of this as an improper fraction, well, again, we just need to have a look at what we've got. So if we want to make this into an improper fraction, well, we can see we're dealing with halves here. Okay, each one of these is a half. So here I have 1 half, 2 half, 3 halves. Okay, so that becomes, as an improper fraction, becomes 3 over 2, or 3 halves. Okay, have a think about what we've covered here. If you're not understanding it too well, perhaps go back and watch again or go through your book. Next video, we'll look at how to convert between the two types of fraction or representations of fractions.